My first guest should be a familiar face, as the dailies and TV news have been covering her every word pertaining to the Olympics. I need you to call 630-575-TALK to get into the conversation. Joining us now from the Tribune Tower is the Executive Director of Action Now, Denise Dixon. Miss Dixon, first, tell us, what is Action Now?
Action Now is a community organization of people trying to win positive changes for themselves and their neighbors. Action Now does three things. We move people, policy, and programs. That's it. If there's something that has to do with our community and our people that's going to help benefit them, we're involved in it.
You know, Denise, I love organizations that have a simple mission and vision statement, because it makes the ability to get things done a lot more simple. You know, Randy Bellosomo talked to Lori Healy from Chicago 2016. She said they've spoken with most community groups. Let's listen right now.
Well, I think, you know, one of the great things about America is that there's freedom of speech, and you know, we've sat down with all these groups. We've worked through issues with most of them, and if there's protesters, there's protesters, but I don't think that takes away from the strength of our bid and the level of commitment that we have throughout the people of the city, the region, and the state of Illinois.
How do you get yourself back on top?
Well, I just think we continue to talk about what a great plan we have, the compactness of our venues, the fairness, equity, and conservatism of our proposed venue budget, as well as for the village. I think we feel very strong that our plan is a good one, and that hopefully we're going to be successful.
Lori Healy. Miss Dixon, does that sound good, or is that lip service?
Well, we're not only talking about freedom of speech. We want to make sure that the people that are going to be impacted because of the games, that'll be what, 2-3 weeks? We want to make sure that the impact on these communities lasts beyond the Olympics. We live here. We've always lived here, some of us, and we want to make sure that we are not pushed out for venues for the Olympics.
Yes, 630-575-TALK is the number. Miss Dixon, are these demands from your organization or requests?
As taxpayers of Chicago, they can be demands or they can be requests.
Yes.
It's just a matter of, we know that the city has already pledged $500 million for the Olympics. They spent $86 million to acquire the property at Michael Reese Hospital. And as the mayor said himself, we don't have the Olympics yet. So we are pledging these dollars, we are spending these dollars, and where's the money coming from? Some of it surely is coming from the taxpayers.
Ms. Dixon, what will Action Now and the South Side and the West Side and all of the residents of Chicago get out of this deal? You know, what do you want out of this deal?
Well, one of the biggest things we're asking for is 30% of the housing be made available to low-income households. And the city deems that at $75,000 a year. So if you make $75,000 or less, then you would be eligible to get one of these new condos at the Reese site. But that still leaves 70% of people being able to live there that make over $75,000.
Absolutely. You know, hold on. I want to take a phone call here quickly. I think I got Kevin on the line. Thanks for calling Gerard McClendon. Karen's on the line. Thanks for calling GML. What's your comment, Karen?
Hi, actually I have two comments. The first one is in response to what the lady was just talking about turning the condos into residential areas for people making less than $75,000. And I agree with that because, quite frankly, I don't know too many people that are making more than $60,000 a year, okay? So to turn it into affordable housing is a good thing. But I don't understand a lot of the negativity that Chicago residents are giving the Olympics. I cannot believe how many people are not supportive of having the Olympics, something so memorable and so necessary for jobs in this town.
Hey,
I cannot believe how many people are not supportive.
Hey, Karen, let me ask you a question quickly. Do you think that the Olympics should be a greater priority than children being shot up on the streets of the west side and south side of Chicago? Should the Olympics be the priority over good education in Chicago?
No, absolutely not. No, we have a crisis in our education system. We have a crisis in the city of Chicago with gangs and kids being killed, babies being killed by babies. But the Olympics is an important area that should be considered.
Okay.
And to try to compare the two, it's comparing apples with oranges. I mean, there is no comparison to gayland violence and lack of education to the Olympics. I mean, we have to be supportive and figure out a solution all the way around.
All right, Karen, thanks for your phone call. I respectfully disagree with you, but I have to go to break right now. Denise Dixon, hold on tight. Still to come on tonight's show, The Chronicles of Narnia, Pan's Labyrinth. No, just Mayor Daley trying to get the Olympics at everyone's expense. Call and tell me what you want from the Olympics if the games come to Chicago. 630-575-TALK. Denise Dixon is in the house with clean cut clarity, and all she wants is a fair contract. Before I go back to phones, Denise, is the 2016 committee, do you think that they're actually listening?
I do think they're listening, and I do think they are trying to take our recommendations into consideration. But I just want to take a moment to respond to the last caller and say that we are very excited about the prospect of the Olympics coming to Chicago. But at what cost? We want to make sure the cost is not too high in human capital and in dollars.
Yeah, that's for real. Let me go to Steve on the phone lines. You're on GML. Thanks for calling. What's your comment?
Hey, Gerard. Hello, Denise. How are you?
Hi.
All right. Hey, Gerard, I have a couple of points.
Yes.
2 years ago, these Olympics sounded like a great idea, maybe even 2.5 years ago. But now, with the economic situation and the direction of banks lending, is that the right move for us now to project future money that we're already in debt right now, then in deficit after deficit after deficit?
Yeah, Steve.
In budget. Can we afford it? It doesn't really make sense that we win this thing right now.
Hey, Steve, thank you so much for the call. You know, it doesn't make sense at all to me, Steve. Denise, do you have a comment?
Well, we know that London right now is grossly over budget on their 2010 Olympic bid. And we know that every Olympic in recent history has lost money. And that's why we are trying to get on the front end and not on the back end. So we want to make sure that if we must spend the money to get the Olympics here, that the beneficiaries are the people of the city of Chicago.
That's right. That's the bottom line. And I've been crying and screaming for the South and West Side for the longest. I'm going to KRISTEN next. KRISTEN, thanks for calling GML. What's your comment? Hi, KRISTEN. What's your comment?
Hi. Hi, Gerard. Hi, Denise.
Hi.
I believe that it would be awesome jobs for people who are in desperate need of them.
Yeah.
Housing and economic development.
Okay.
You know, for all people who are involved.
That's yeah.
That's just my comment. I mean, you know, the jobs.
Yeah, KRISTEN, that's a great comment. Thanks for calling GML. Let me get to Big Calvin next. Calvin, talk to me. What's up?
Rod, what's happening?
All right.
Listen, I think, you know, I listen to Karen. Karen needs to ride down Washington Park right now to see the pot and gutter holes over there. They're trying to trim the trees up. All of this, Gerard, to me, is like a disguise kit. And if you commit $600 million, what's going on with stickers, license plates? What about some of the black contractors that need to get some of these jobs also? Not only the housing part, I think it's only fair, but the way they got it disguised, it's all about the rich folks, and it's not about us. Thanks for taking my call, buddy.
All right, Calvin, we appreciate that. It's about getting what is due. Let me get one more phone call in. Denise, I'm going to Mark next. Mark, you're on GML. What's your comment?
Well, I just want to publicly commend this sister, Denise Dixon, and I'm glad to be able to reconnect with her again from old Rainbow Push days, because there's a lot of people who, I'm glad she's got the sensitivity to have now learned in leadership that you got to get the details, because a lot of us years ago fought for affordable housing only to find the very people that fought for the affordable housing not to be able to afford what they fought for. So I want to commend Denise for having the sensitivity and the leadership now to understand that we can't do just this or that. We got the leadership skills now with people like her to really speak for the, not just the grassroots, but the true grassroots. So I applaud you, sister, and look forward to working with you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Mark, thanks for the call. Looks like you're getting kudos, Denise. It's about not just yelling and screaming, it's about understanding the concept. Do you think that you will, if the Olympics comes, Denise, do you think realistically that you will get your requests?
I believe that we will get some. I don't think that we will get everything we are asking for. We are asking for 50% of the contracts to go to women and minority contractors. And we know we're not unreasonable people. So we know that that may go down to 40%. The city's own benchmark is 24%, and they don't meet that benchmark. So we are asking not for just promises. We want to see this actually put in motion.
Yes.
And in terms of jobs, we are also asking for 10% of the apprenticeship jobs to go to people in the community.
Yeah.
We don't care what color they are. We just want to make sure that those are the people that are going to benefit. And we want to make sure that our folks are not displaced. There's nothing wrong with the suburbs, but we chose to live in the city. So we want to be in the city when the 2016 Olympics comes, and we want to be in the city when they leave.
Well said. Well said. Thanks, Denise Dixon from Action Now. We appreciate you being on Gerard McClendon Live. Up next, Village President of Bensenville, John Geils, talks to us about the symposium on political corruption and the fate of Al Sanchez, convicted on hiring fraud counts. CLTV Talk at Tribune.com, CLTV.com/GML. Give me a call right now, 630-575-TALK. Gerard McClendon Live, back in 2.
I took the stand. They had an opportunity to ask me any question they wanted to, and I answered every question honestly, and it didn't seem to interest anybody. So I don't think there was anything more that I could add.
I think the conduct at issue is something that we need to take very seriously, as the jury did, and the jury found that time and time again people were going for jobs and thinking they had an honest shot at jobs, and meanwhile people with clout behind closed doors rigged the systems. And so that some people who supplied work to political patronage armies got jobs, and people who didn't lost out.
Wow, people with clout behind closed doors rigged the systems. Welcome back to Gerard McClendon Live. Shifting gears to corruption and symposiums. I attended one this weekend and ran into my next guest. Joining us from CLTV Studio C, Village President of Bensenville, John Geils. Mr. Geils, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Gerard.
You know, let's get right into this. Al Sanchez, you know, was this a surprise to you at all?
Not at all. The hiring fraud and the associated relationships at the 5th floor of City Hall are pretty apparent now. Going back to the Swords trial, where I think the judge called the Governmental Affairs Office on the 5th floor of City Hall the heartbeat of corruption in Chicago, and I think this conviction and ultimate situation with Al Sanchez reinforces that.
You know, before we get back to Mr. Sanchez, tell us a little bit about why you would have a symposium on corruption. What's the basis for that?
Well, going back many years to the late Henry Hyde, who was our representative in the 6th District in Congress, Henry pointed out to us very, very clearly that once the O'Hare modernization program was underway, that this really wasn't about aviation capacity or delay reduction. This was simply about jobs and contracts to support the patronage army that supports the city of Chicago's agenda. And we found that to be true. And so it's time, as we've said over and over again, that O'Hare development, as it currently is set up, is a candy store for corruption. And it's something that needs to be pointed out to those people who effectively support the expansion for all the wrong reasons.
And speaking of candy stores, I'm reading from the Chicago Tribune. It says Sanchez helped build a powerful political group, the Hispanic Democratic Organization, by steering hundreds of contracts and jobs to operatives who campaign for Daley and other politicians. I mean, if this type of activity takes place all the time and it's pretty much not behind closed doors, why does it keep happening? Come on, John, why?
Gerard, it's because the people, again, are kept in the dark, and it's time that the local mayors, the regional representatives of government start talking about the problems that exist in corruption in the process and bring the resulting factors of deciding their government and how we're going to be governed back to the people. And that's what this is all about. They've ripped the social fabric of our community out from underneath us through special legislation for an expansion plan that is never going to be funded, that the airlines don't want. And they've literally destroyed our community because they can, not because it has some economic benefit or long-term benefit to the region.
You know, John, hiring fraud was Al Sanchez's Achilles heel as he tried kind of a Trojan horse of getting people jobs in exchange for political campaigning. You know, once again, why isn't this a surprise to us, and why aren't we outraged more? I mean, I'm so upset right now. I'm shivering. I'm shaking.
Well, it's a great question, and I think a lot of it stems from fear. People are afraid if they speak out, they're going to be targeted. I mean, I'm a perfect example of that. In my community, in the last 2 elections, we've seen HDO representatives out in our community walking door to door to defeat our candidates who oppose the expansion and oppose the corruption statewide.
Whoa. You've seen HDO operatives in your community?
Absolutely.
You got to be kidding me.
Absolutely, walking door to door to make sure that, again, people who are in position to make a decision.
Wait a minute now, John. How do you know they were HDO operatives? Just because they were Hispanic?
No, sir. I mean, the HDO is a name that represents all nationalities. It really means patronage workers for the city of Chicago. These were people out walking door to door that we ID'd over and over again as being representatives of the city of Chicago. They've been in the suburbs, they've been in Park Ridge, they've been in Des Plaines, they've been in Elmhurst, they've been in Bensenville, trying to influence those, again, who would support their position and eliminate the opposition to this candy store of corruption at O'Hare.
Wow. Stay with me, folks. Still to come on tonight's show, the Gerard McClendon Live B-Line, Whitney Young, corruption and the Olympics. Hit my blog at cltv.com/GML. Post a comment and we may read it on the air. Gerard McClendon Live. Back in a moment. Let's listen to a few B-Line calls right now.
In response to private security officers being allowed to ticket, why not give them truant officer or, truancy officer privileges? I'm sick and tired. Every day I'm around my neighborhood seeing kids obviously of school age not in school during school hours.
I feel that if the situation gets bad enough, then we call the Chicago Police Department.
Tell the FOP president to walk in my shoes. Maybe one day that he can walk down the street from 71st and Halsted to 83rd and Halsted. He will get sold anything from sex to loose cigarettes to drugs. You got urine in the CTA vestibules over here. And hey, the funny thing is, you need some protection out here. You got people walking around carrying their own stuff out here. You need to get some more police officers out here. But if you can't do that, yeah, you need some more security guards. And I don't mean Barney Fife with one bullet. Thanks for taking my call.
Oh, welcome back to Gerard McClendon Live. I've got John Geils, Bensenville Village President, with us. I'm going to go straight to phones first. Sam, what's your, go ahead, Sam. Sam, you're on the line.
Yes, sir. Yeah, this is Sam. Yes, I don't feel the decision with Sanchez was proper. I mean, this guy was a commissioner of a department. This guy took orders from higher up. I mean, I don't think this is fair.
So, Sam, who should have went down for this?
I mean, I don't know who should have went down, but this guy here, I mean, he didn't just hire people. This guy took, he took orders from higher up people. I mean,
okay.
I don't feel that's fair. I mean, it's a shame that this guy worked hard in the department. He retired, and this is a thank you to a guy that I don't think it's right.
Wow, Sam, thanks for the call. Let me go straight to Nico. Nico, you're on GML. What's your comment?
Well, my comment is that people are not numb and not surprised by corruption here in Chicago. And I think at this point what's going on is that he is guilty even if he doesn't think he is, to a certain extent. Also, ignorance is no excuse. Well, I think we should be educated and educate ourselves and take ownership for the things that are going on in our community. This way, when things like the Olympics come around and new projects, people are all of a sudden surprised about, new buildings coming up. But,
that's right.
These things were going on for years.
That's right. Hey, Nico, I got to let you go, man. It's the end of the show. Thanks for calling GML. John Geils, give me a closing word in about 10, 15 seconds.
Well, Gerard, the mayor of the city of Chicago has been very good at disguising the process that really amounts to his control of everything. It's the velvet glove approach in the mayor's caucus to the hammer with the HDO. And until the people rise up and are outraged by this process, nothing's going to change. It's time that we hear from the people and the people stand up for what's right.
John Geils, Village of Bensenville President, thanks for being on Gerard McClendon Live. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Gerard.
Hey, you know what? All I have to say about Whitney Young is, kids will be kids, but you got to get more chaperones. Stay positive, keep your head up, and always